What if your breakup isn't happening to you, but it's happening for you? What if it's the start of you choosing yourself and it's actually a part of your becoming? This video is how to move on from a breakup in a whole, healthy way where you can really be at peace with the situation, be at peace with yourself, and not even think about them. And not in a way, but in a just so at peace with the situation that they don't take up any brain space in your mind and they don't take up space in your heart in a way that doesn't serve you. I'm no relationship expert. What I do know how to do real well is how to move on. That is an art that I know how to do. And so this is my wisdom to share. The first thing is acceptance. You have to accept that it's over. And that's really hard to do when you loved the person, when you had dreams, when you guys talked about what you were going to do together. Accepting that reality is not easy. And in the beginning, when you first break up, there's a little bit of hope that you hold on to, like, oh, are they going to call? Are things going to change? Or they're going to have an epiphany and come back? But really, the acceptance and the first step is saying, this is really over and I'm choosing to move on. I am actually deciding today, this month, I'm moving on. I'm looking forward and I'm bowing out of this situation. You cannot move on and you cannot heal if you don't choose to. I'll say that again. You cannot move on if you don't choose to. So the first thing is to accept it and to choose that you want to move on and to bow out of the hope. The reason why this is so important is because the last thing you want to do is be bitter, be guarded, and be jaded, because you don't want, when love comes again, when it is presented to you again, you don't want to not be able to accept it or receive it because of the things in your past. That is, I think, the saddest thing, is to let the pain of your past harden or limit your capacity to experience love in the present or in the future. That is so sad. And so this video is to get yourself together. So the second thing is closing the mental loop. What do I mean by that? You are probably incessantly thinking about the person, about the situation, what happened, where it went wrong, who did what, why is this happening? Like, your brain is trying to process in real time what happened and why. And while that is valid, a lot of the thoughts that we think after a breakup are really, really, really disempowering. So the cue is to ask yourself, are these thoughts serving me? Are they helping me move forward? Are they empowering me? Or are they disempowering me? Because really, your thoughts are contributing to how you feel about the situation. If you're constantly thinking he left, he betrayed, he did this, you are constantly disempowering your soul and your heart. So it's really, really important to reframe and reshift the story to serve you. So instead of saying he left, you say, I've been freed. Instead of saying he betrayed, you say, I was with someone that did not have integrity or honesty. Is the relationship over or is the relationship complete? You start shifting the story to empower you. That is so, so critical, because when you blame someone else incessantly or make the story like just disempowering and not honoring yourself, one, you place yourself as a victim, and two, you don't give yourself the power that you deserve to take back your story in a way that serves you. That is so, so important. I was in a bad breakup in 2020, and he immediately within the same month got a new girlfriend, and I was like, oh, Lord. And I had to retrain my brain, because obviously you have the mental loop of, oh my gosh, did he cheat on me? You have those thoughts, right? And I had to train my brain to say, no, I'm not thinking about this. This does not serve me. And low key, I would say it out loud. I'd be like, no, I'm not thinking about that. No, that doesn't empower me. No, it's not my business, because it ain't. So reframing and retraining your brain and really writing down the story so that it serves you. And that is the art of choosing and loving yourself, which is so paramount. Another thing I want to say is that thoughts can change. You actually can change your thoughts, which will then change how you feel about the situation. Thoughts can be changed. You can change your thoughts about this person. You can change your thoughts about this situation, and you can change your thoughts about the story that you are telling yourself. You actually can change it. And once you can change it in a way that serves you, you will feel or start to feel more at peace. So that's the first part. You're gonna have to start poking holes in your logic and in your attachment. Would the love of your life do this to you? Would your husband do this to you? Would your husband act this way? Would the father of your children act this way? Probably not. And hey, maybe they were an incredible person and didn't work out. Obviously, there's a reason why the relationship didn't work out. And you have to be really honest with yourself on it took two to tango for sure, but like, is this really what I want? Is this person really, really what I want for myself and for my children? Like, you really got to start thinking about beyond you, right? As if you want kids or if you have kids, like, is this a relationship I want to role model? And if you don't want kids or you don't have kids, is this a relationship that I would want for my inner child? Because your inner child is within you. You have a little 6-7-year-old in there. And would you want this experience of love for her? If not, it's time to poke those holes of, oh my God, he was the best thing that ever happened to me. No, the relationship ended and completed for a reason. And so it's up to you to say, what happened? Why did it happen? How can I move on? And what is the lesson? Another thing I want to say is heartbreaks are portals where really, if you take the steps to heal, to be introspective and really assess what happened and why, they can quantum leap you into a different reality. They really, really can. So it's crucial that you take the steps and the time to heal. I cannot stress that enough, because I just witness a lot of people in my life that don't take the time to heal, and they just do a disservice to themselves and the quality of their life when you don't look inward and see how the decisions you made and the decisions that you didn't make affected your heart and affected your life. Because at the end of the day, you chose this person. So it's really on you to do the excavation to say, why did I choose this person? And what is the lesson for me? Because if you don't, you will repeat it. You will repeat it in another partner. There's subconscious patterns, there's subconscious beliefs that made you choose this person. So really, it's like an opportunity to look in the mirror and see what it is that you were meant to learn. This is not like just a random experience. This is happening for you to grow. It is a portal of change. So are you going to let it be the worst thing to happen to you? Or are you going to let it be an ultimate opportunity to heal your heart? Your heart is broken, but that means it's open. It is, you are so receptive to information, to signs, to things when your heart is open. So really take the time to heal, because it's an opportunity to go deeper than you ever have before, because your heart is open. And it's so important to do this, because the last thing you want to do is carry the things from your past into your future. You don't want to carry your heavy bags from this relationship into your future one, or just into your life. That heavy experience, which you're experiencing now, has a weight to it, and it's up to you to lighten it. You need to lighten it, because if not, you will carry it with you. And your next person does not deserve the cost of this experience. They don't deserve it. So it's really on you to heal your heart and feel at peace about the situation so that you can move into your next one with an open heart. So how do you heal? I wish there was a one size fit all, like do this and you'll heal. It looks different, and the timeline looks different for each person, especially with how long you were with the person, how attached you were with the person, how integrated and embedded they were into your life, how open your heart was when you were with this person. So healing looks different. But what I know for sure is that you need to ask yourself, what is the learning? You need to ask yourself how you contributed to the situation, and really why you chose this person, and if it got ugly in the end, why you chose to stay. That, I think, is your opportunity to learn and evolve, and also to forgive yourself and the person for what they did. That's crucial, because if not, again, it's a part of your heart hurting and your heart hardening, and you don't want that. What is the lesson here? And let's say you dated someone terrible, right? Why did you choose this person? Why did you stay in this relationship? What did you ignore? What did you abandon? What did you put above yourself? Like, those are the deeper questions that really reclaim your power, because ultimately you don't have control over what the other person did, but you do have control over your contributions to the relationship. It took two to tango. And I think sometimes we do ourselves a disservice constantly putting the blame on the other person, when really you weren't bound to this person legally. This is a breakup. This is not a divorce. That's a whole other thing. But you were not bound to this person legally. So why did you stay? That's like the real question. Is when you get deeper, that's where the healing takes place. And really, it's opportunity to look at your beliefs about love. Do you believe that you're worthy and deserving of it? Do you believe that love stays, that love is fought for, that like those are like the real deep beliefs that might come from your childhood that are worth exploring? It's really, really worth exploring. And the question is, how can you process this pain in a way that won't stay in your heart? Because what you don't process doesn't go away. You might be able to like distract yourself or numb yourself, but once your heart is in a place to open again, it might close, because you haven't done the work to fully have it be open and tender again. The next thing I want to say is that healing and choosing to heal your heart is a form of self-love. It is an act of courage. It is not for the faint of heart, but it is an act of self-love. When you choose to sit with yourself and journal and meditate and go to therapy and read the books and excavate inside what happened and why, all of those acts are forms of love that you are showing yourself that you are worthy and deserving of being cared for. You are caring for yourself, which is showing your mind and your heart that you are worthy of love. And so when you do that, it is an act of love that shows yourself that you love yourself deeply. And the deeper you love yourself, the deeper you are able to love another. So if you take this experience and truly decide, you know what, I'm going to take a pause on dating. I'm going to give myself 3 to 6 months, and I'm just going to I'm going to honor the love of that relationship and pour it all back into me. And when I do that, the next person I meet, I will be able to meet them more deeply, because I love myself more deeply because of the work that I did these past few months. These past few months, I've showed myself that I am so worthy and deserving of being cared for. So my next person will only do the same. And guess what? You don't have control over what the next person does, right? But you just showed yourself in these past few months that you love yourself and you are deserving of love. And so you're more likely to walk away when the situation is not that. You learn to trust yourself. And that's above all, the most important thing is, do you trust yourself enough to love again and to walk away if it's not that? That is the key to know if you're ready again, to know if you're ready to give your heart out again. Are you really ready to love someone and not have the past come up and perpetuate that onto the other person? And can you walk away if it's not that? Those are hallmarks to say whether you're ready for love again. Now, if you are a woman watching this, you are a life giver. You literally bring life into this world through your womb. So what that means is that the things that you pour into naturally brighten and expand. A woman's love is so infinite. It is so infinite that when a woman pours love into something, it expands, it grows. You give us ingredients, we make a meal. You give us a house, we make a home. You give us semen, we make life. Life. And so that love that you were giving the other person, you can now give to yourself. And I promise you, you will only brighten and expand. If all of that energy, all that attention, all that love you were pouring into that person, if you put that back into yourself, I promise you, it will only come back in dividends. Like the way that you will glow up and grow and flourish and expand is unmeasurable. I promise you, it's unmeasurable. So take the time to honor that love by pouring it back into yourself. So much so that you don't even care if the person comes back. And even if they do, you will be that much more hesitant because you'll be like, I done did all of this. I love myself tenfold now with all 10 toes. Can you do the same in the same way? You move differently when you love yourself. I promise you. And your breakups are different when you love yourself. Now, this is my favorite part of a breakup. Not to romanticize the pain, but my favorite part is the expansion that you feel once you've decided that you want to move on, once you've processed most of the pain. The next part is the expansion part. And this is what I like to call Eileen 2.0. So Eileen 2.0 is all that love that I'm pouring back to myself. What does that new version of me look like? This is a new era. This is a new chapter. And so I'm a new person. And not literally, but I make goals, and the goals are physical, financial, emotional, spiritual, like redoing what I want to look like, what I want my wardrobe to be, what I want my home to look like. Like you get to expand a new version of yourself. And I'll make a mood board. I'll make a vision board. I will like just start to envision my life grander and bigger than I had once thought. The analogy that I like to give is like a relationship is like a home. And the longer you stay in the home, the more attached you are to the home, the more you love the home. But when the relationship is over, either you both sold it and it was a mutual decision, or the house was bulldozed and now you're like, damn, I don't got a home. Like this is sad. But now that you've grieved the home, that you understand why the home was bulldozed or why it was sold, now you get to expand and create an even bigger, more luxurious, more beautiful, more cozy, more in-tuned home for yourself. So if the home had 2 bedrooms and 2 baths, this new home gets to have however many bedrooms. It gets to have a library. It gets to have a garden. You get to expand the vision of your life, which is so, so integral. When you start looking at your current reality and at your future reality, you are less bogged down by the past. And when you do that, when you train yourself to look forward, when you train this to view it as an opportunity to grow and and expand, you're not like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing to happen to me. Like, I've trained my brain and my heart to know that when a heartbreak happens, it's because God wants to catapult me to something bigger. Like, I've trained my brain to believe that. And so I don't view it as the greatest loss. It's actually the greatest catapult to a newer reality. And that's because I take the time to heal, but I also create a new vision that's expanded the pain of the past. I also want to talk about the worst breakup I've ever had in my life. And it was in 2020, and I was going through it. I loved that man down. And I was living with my mom at the time. And at night, that's when like the sadness really, really is the most deep, at least for me. And I'm a very theatrical person. And so I don't cry like, I'm like I'm a very loud crier. And so one of these nights that I'm crying, my mom knocks on the door and she's like, Eileen, él no murió, which in English is, Eileen, he did not die. And this is not like to make light of that, for sure, not. But that is to say, I was so hurt, like heartbroken over the situation. But when I look back at it, half the heartbreak really was how I broke my own heart. Really, really, it was how I stayed in a space that didn't serve me, how I ignored my intuition that was telling me he ain't it, and how I made a home with a person that wasn't for my best. And so when I grieved that relationship, it was a grieving of, damn, Eileen, like you really put yourself in this situation. You really like got lost in a person that was not deserving. I say that to say that sometimes what we think the heartbreak is actually an invitation to love ourselves more deeply, so that when that same person or that same lesson is presented again, we can move in a much more compassionate and possibly different way. So instead of focusing on the person, you start focusing and putting your attention onto yourself, expanding the vision of your life, brightening the corners of your life that might be dark, inviting love back into your daily life for yourself, and be so invested in yourself and putting that time and energy back into yourself that you're not so much worried about the other person and what they're doing. And you really get to a point where you understand why it happened. And that breakup of 2020 truly was one of the best things to happen to me. And to be honest, it was a lesson that I needed to learn. It was a mirror to the lack of love that I had for myself, which then catapulted my self-love journey. And now, looking back in hindsight, it was never about him. It would have been, if it wasn't Philip, it would have been Stephen. It would have been Mark, because that was the lesson that I needed to learn. It's like now I look at relationships more about the lesson than I do about the person, because it's always deeper. It's not just a human being in your reality. It's the soul level lesson that is coming to teach you something. Relationships are not coincidences. They're not just random experiences, especially when it comes to the matters of the heart. It's a soul thing. It's like, what was this soul trying to teach me? Really, though, really. And so are you going to take the time to honor what the lesson was? Or are you just going to escape it and move on and hope that the next experience will be better without gleaning the wisdom of this one? So now that I've went on my whole spiel, now there are practical things that you can do to heal your heart. One is saying and listening to affirmations. YouTube is a great resource where they have subliminal affirmations where you can listen to at night for a heartbreak or like healing your heart, and you can listen to that while you're sleeping. You can also listen to affirmations throughout the day. They're super, super powerful. 2 is you can do meditations. Again, YouTube is an incredible resource where they have a lot of meditations. They have letting go of relationships. They have healing your heart. They have cord cutting. If you want to cut that energetic cord with that person, they have those meditations. They have inner child meditations, which is like on a deeper healing level. Really recommend practices on forgiveness, not only for the other person, but also for yourself. Forgiving yourself for this experience, forgiving yourself for the part you played in your own suffering. And really, that is what's going to heal your heart in a way that you don't let it harden or darken. And then retraining your brain to love and trust again. I just hear a lot of people say like, oh, I can't love like that again, because they've been so hurt in the past. And really what I hear is I don't trust myself to really process my next breakup, really be able to move on if the person wasn't treating me well. You don't ever have control over what happens in a relationship. You only have control over how you respond. So can you train your brain to really know, no matter what, I got me, I trust me, I know me, and I love me. So regardless of what another person does, I'm going to be all right. That's a different level of knowing. And when you move like that, you can actually open your heart to receive in a much deeper and nourishing way. I have 2 books that I really recommend. One is called Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, an incredible, incredible book to heal your life and my North Star. And there's also a book called You Can Heal Your Heart by her, which touches more on relationships and grief. So those are 2 books that I really, really recommend. If you've gotten to this point of the video, I want to say that heartbreak is a part of life. There's no shame you need to feel. There's no guilt you need to feel for how sad and how devastated you feel about the situation. It's actually a sign of incredible courage because you opened your heart to love in a day and age where that is so rare. Being emotionally open and available for love is rare. And the fact that you did that and you gave your heart and you opened it to someone is so beautiful. And I think sometimes we just want to escape from the pain, and it's like, no, honor yourself for saying, ooh, I really put myself out there. I really tried. And while it didn't have the outcome that I would have wanted, I did it. And it's such a beautiful thing that people are searching for. People are searching for love. And the fact that you got to experience it, even for a moment in time, deserves to be honored. It really, really does. And so continue honoring yourself by pouring that love back to yourself, by deciding and committing that these next few months or these next few weeks, you're really just going to pour that love back into yourself so that when the next person comes, because they will, you're actually able to receive it. You love yourself more deeply to receive it. And then you say, I'm so glad that didn't work out with the last person. I'm so glad, and I understand why it didn't. That is all that I have to say on heartbreak. I know it's a longer video, but there's so much that goes on to healing your heart. And know that I'm sending you so much love. You can get through it. You will get through it. But it is always, always, always up to you. If you got to this point in this video, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll be back with more videos on how to love yourself more deeply and how to be able to experience more joy that you are so deserving of. Bye.